So exciting. Where are you going?
Or Roberts. How are
Yes.
you in
Yep.
Tulsa? Yep.
I love that. Oh, best of
Yeah.
luck.
Thank you. And I get to see my other boy, my oldest, too. He's there
Yeah.
too. So,
This is a
yep,
big day for you.
it is. It is. I'm glad I can join the mastermind call while I'm driving. I've got my eyes on the road though.
Yeah, I'm sure she's thrilled.
Oh, I'm sure.
Your
Yeah,
back
she's in the
seat.
back,
Yeah.
my backseat passenger there. She's made herself a bed. She's snacks and pillows and blankets, so she's good for a minute.
I love that.
Yeah, thanks.
How are we doing? Who's on here?
We have quite a few.
Has the meeting started already? Are you already
No,
started?
yeah, well, the chit chat started, but we're just
Okay.
now really getting going.
So I had a conversation with Sandy, and then I also called Darren because I have a house that went live today. I didn't. Can I ask a question? Is that okay?
Please.
Okay.
That's what this is really about.
Okay. So yeah, I gotta leave at 10:30. So anyway, I really wanted to ask this question. So I priced a house in Raymore that is in Eagle Glen, and we priced it at 345. It's a split entry. When I pull up all the sold houses within a mile of split entry of there, I get lower lower values. Okay. But all the other indicators like Redfin and realtor.com and homes.com and all of these are telling me it's like 370, 380, like crazy, like higher. And I'm like, I can't really justify. I mean, I think we priced it right, but I didn't want to leave money on the table because if the appraiser looks at like houses, which are split entry, he's going to come up with those numbers that are, less than 345. And I'm thinking, okay, so, but like,
What's the condition, Joanna?
it's beautiful. It's beautiful. He just put a new roof on, all new carpet, all new paint. I mean, there was one that just closed right there in his neighborhood for 320 not that long ago. That's like the same kind of house as his, and it sold for 320, but it was some out of town dude that didn't know what he was doing. There's not even a phone number to call him. So I was like, I wanted to list it at 360 or 370, but there are ranch homes that are going for that price, and this is a split entry. And so I was just really, and I know when I had this conversation with Darren, he's like, I think you're priced right. But I was so shocked to find all these other things. Even Realist Tax says it's 381. I'm like, what the
I
heck?
think my
So
opinion,
anybody have anything on this?
in my opinion, is the appraiser is not going to look at realtor.com and Zillow and all those. He's going to look at the actual data.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I've got
Yeah.
one, Joanna, in my neighborhood that we're getting ready to list, and they're gonna do a little bit of work. But it's interesting because my neighborhood is now all over the map, and my neighborhood, it's a small
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah.
But a ranch 3 doors down from these people just sold, and it sold for 334.
Wow.
And then, but I sold one a year ago for 370 right across the street from me. And so
Was
to
that a ranch?
me, what
Was
I
that a
really
ranch
do
too?
is I will call the listing agent and find out what's going on in that property. And like that one that it sold as is. Okay. I know that because I know that he backs up to my house, and he was an older gentleman. He passed away, not in the house, but he didn't do any upgrades. And I actually went and walked through the house. And so sometimes, not that you can do that now with you're looking at sold data, but a lot of it, I think, is, I listened to that Glenda, whatever her name is, that realtor from Texas or Atlanta or wherever she's from. And one of the things she was saying the other day was that buyers are really becoming condition intolerant. meaning they're not taking, you know, they're not taking houses that are crappy anymore. And if they are, they're gonna have to sell for a lot less price. So that's why I ask you, what's the condition? I mean, is it updated? Is it current? It's got all the modern things.
It's beautiful. Now it's a 20-year-old house. So it looks like it's updated. I mean, no, it doesn't have doesn't have granite.
Does it have a new kitchen? Does it have
No.
new fixtures?
No, but it has all new carpet, all new paint, a new roof, a new deck, and it has been meticulously cared for. So
Yeah.
it's like every room, including the laundry room, looks like a showroom. I mean, this looks beautiful.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Well,
I mean, that's
hey,
what we got it
Joanna,
priced. Yeah.
Joanna, I think, you know, I've been studying split entries over there in Raymore. I did an open house a couple weeks ago, and it was actually Lonnie's listing, and he's like, hey, do some comps and see what you think. And so I really plugged into those split entries, and I was kind of surprised at how low they were selling for as well.
Yes.
I saw Kathy County just listed one probably a week ago. It's a personal flip of hers somewhere over there. I don't exactly remember where, and she listed it for 300. And it was completely flipped. I know. I was like, oh my gosh. Now it's not in Eagle Glen. It's not, you know, but it is over there in Raymore somewhere. And so, yeah, I think 345 or whatever sounds about right. What I was seeing, you know, for split entries. So,
okay. Okay.
Unfortunately,
I just felt like I'm thinking we're going to get offers that are way over, and I don't want. And I told my guy the dilemma. I mean, I talked with the homeowner. I said, listen, I think we're priced right when we do the comps. But if he looks on other things, I don't want him to think, oh, wow, you underpriced my house. You know what I mean? Because if you look at all these other things.
And here's something else you have to remember yourself, but also to tell your client, like all of those that you quoted, Redfin, Open Door, Zillow, Realtor, all of those, even Realist, those are only computer algorithms, and they don't take all of that stuff into consideration. So they've never seen your house. They didn't come out and study the area. You live here. You know this area. You're the expert. Yeah. And here are comps of actual solid proof, you know, and I wish I could get that for you, but yeah, just can't. That's not what the data shows us.
I think, remember, Joanna, when we've taken those pricing classes over the years that Lonnie has taught us about, when he says, you know, look at Zillow and look at Realtor.com, he basically is saying, look at them so that if your seller asks you questions or says, I saw this on Zillow or I saw this on Realtor.com, you will know that, and then you can have your objection to say, well, I realize that, I saw those as well. However, they don't take real data. I mean, if you print something out and you look at, and I know you and I have talked about this, if you look at the very bottom line, there's that small fine print where they don't pull the data. And you're really up against what your appraiser's going to say.
Okay.
And so you're doing exactly the same exercise that your appraiser would do. That's how I always present my stuff. I say, I'm pulling comps the exact same way an appraiser will do, so that we can price your house fairly and try to get the best price we can. I mean, I seriously have that same thing going on over here. Luckily, my sellers are of the mindset, they're like, oh, okay, I think we can get more for their house than they think. But at least they're not thinking they should get more. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
But I know, condition is a big deal nowadays. Remember in the past, I remember one time you had a house over in Georgia Place and you knew it needed new carpet and all that. And I think the Ewings came in and bought it up sight unseen and all that stuff. I mean, those days are gone.
Yeah. Well.
Good question, Joanna. It's always good to hear other people's, as they're trying to sort this out, because I feel like we are a bit in how our market shifts as we move into spring, and sometimes we think prices could go up because of that, but we still have to go back to the data, because that's going to be what is going to hold it solid for our clients all the way through the conversation.
And remember, Joanna, you have access to that data, and you're educated in such a way to be able to defend your data. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Okay. Well,
Yeah, I was going to throw in there too, with somebody said the timing of the algorithm, there is a little bit of a lag on that stuff too. Like nobody has better pulse on the market than us agents who are out in it every day. And the thing that the algorithms don't do when they do AVMs and valuations is it can't anticipate the seasonality, and it doesn't anticipate what's happening with, surrounding neighborhoods and new construction. It's like the military, like all of the AI fighter pilots, what are they missing? They're missing the gut. They're missing the instinct of the human. And that's one thing that AI will never be able to outpace us when we're boots on the ground. Brandy said a couple weekends ago, like she did an open house, like the AI wasn't in the neighborhood, wasn't seeing the reaction on people's faces, wasn't seeing the cars parked in the driveways and the traffic flow on the streets. And we see all that. So yeah, I mean, sometimes those AVMs are wrong and those valuations are, they're just lagging a little bit. They're a second behind, and we're usually pricing and valuing ahead of the market, which I think is a value proposition for us as agents. And nobody has more data on that, especially in Cass County, than Southland.
Yeah.
We've got more data because we're doing more transactions than everybody else.
Yeah.
I mean, and what an advantage to actually be in a field that we are people that are talking with people. Like we can play that to the advantage of I'm actually in real time searching this out for you, my client.
Yeah.
I'm actually working for you right here, right now in your area, which just gives us props to why they need to use a realtor and not just be.
So Brandy, the house that you did for Lonnie, did it go under contract?
I don't think so. And they were a little high, and Lonnie knew it. And that's why he was like, hey, just while you're there, just do some comps and see what you think. And I love the challenge. I loved it. So,
what was it priced at?
$359.
59.
$359. And, so and he knew it. Like I said, it's one of those things you got, we can know it, but we gotta, sometimes you gotta let your people try it a little bit. And, cause they're the ones that have to, sleep at night, not feel like they left money on the table. So sometimes I'll do that too and say, okay, we'll try it at your price, but, we'll need to come down. Okay. So, and doing my research and stuff, I do think that, maybe on that house, maybe around 330, 340 would be the better price for it. So, that was just what I found, but I was kind of shocked to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I think you're priced right. Personally, I haven't seen the house, but I think you're right on.
Okay.
Best of luck, Joanna.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
We hope that it comes in overpriced, like you get double offers, higher than you expected, all those things. We're rooting for you. I just want to do a little shout out because this weekend I had every kind of challenging opportunity to throw my way. And even on a weekend, I was able to get in touch with broker Darren. Hannah Tolley helped me. Carrie Lesmeister stepped in. Steve Collins did an open house. Nathan Priest answered my phone. Like, I just want to say thank you, because even though it was a weekend, I felt like I had all kinds of people at my disposal and helping me work through things that I'm still a newer agent, and I feel like I'm just learning and always want to bounce things off. So hats off to the teamwork that I actually feel, because even though a lot of us are solo agents, we don't have to fly solo. And I just huge shout outs to everybody. And for Alex Raphael coming to my listing first day and bringing me a great offer for my clients. And I look forward, he's been great to work with already. And I love that about our office, that our expectations and production just stays above par. It's just great. So I just want to say thanks to everybody who helped me out. It was a crazy weekend. And in that, it made me think about the simple concept of ripple effects. And I'm kind of a visual, and I have this crazy rock that I keep in my sight all the time, because it reminds me that constantly our actions and reactions to the things that are happening in our world causes a ripple effect. And in our business, that can be positive and negative. And being able to handle those moments that we walk in and knowing that our reaction and action at that time is just going to kind of keep going and keep going. And it affects not only the immediate, but this ongoing outcome. And so being able to take a step back and process with other people in our office to be sure that the stone that I was throwing into the pond was creating a positive ripple effect ongoing. So I think a lot of those tools we get from this Thursday. And I know one of the things that we talk about a lot is, you know, how to take what we learn from this moment, this hour, or our Tuesday morning and apply it daily. And so for me, that's been this, how do I apply it to create an ongoing effect that's going to be positive for me? So has anybody else recently had to challenge where you're like, hey, this is the way I'm throwing this stone to create a positive business ripple effect that's like an ongoing? And Sandy was just talking about to me earlier how she was taking people to lunch and how that, in my mind, is such a huge stone to throw, because you take one person to lunch and that conversation creates new clients, new conversations. Who else? Share with us something that you're doing that's creating a positive business ripple effect.
Tricia, can you hear me?
I can. Good morning.
Okay.
John.
Good morning. How are you? So yeah, it's a great, James and I were talking about this a while back. So we got some new co-oping people that we haven't ever worked with before. And not all personalities always match up. Right. So I think it's, and for us, it just comes down to doing the right thing. So we talk about teamifying it, but it is more important is letting the other agents realize that we're actually working on all of our behalfs. And then when we did that, it really changed, I think, the way they were initially coming to the table, right? So some people are kind of more brash and cut to the chase and stuff like that. And so I think with that, there's some underlying, maybe they've been wronged when they co-opt with someone else or they had a bad experience. So my point is rising above it and understanding that we all get back what we put out in the universe, no matter what. None of us are immune. So what we found out was it really bought us like co-op capital, right? So the other co-oping agent realized that, man, you guys are really working, you know, you really appreciate this and blah, blah, blah. And credit to James. I mean, he's things roll downhill, right? He's the buyer's agent and we have to, you know, so, but he's really learned a lot. But at the end of the day, to your point, just like doing the right thing and then letting the other person know, be like, hey, you know, I know we talked about who was going to take care of this. We went ahead and did it. And we've sent this over to title, blah, 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 blah. Hope you don't mind. And have a great day. So that positive affirmation to them, helping to build the relationship up for them to realize, oh, wow, they really do teamify. They don't just say it, they're doing it. Because I think our actions are always going to speak louder than other people's words.
Yeah, good point. And you're right, none of us are immune from this, the way we interact. And I think I felt it on the receiving end of other agents before, of things that I thought were thumbs up, repetitive things I want to do and things I might want to avoid. Who else?
Well, I'll talk about how I just got some business in my neighborhood. I mean, I just do the same things. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I do the same things I've done for the almost 10 years I've been in the business. And they continue to reap benefits for me. Not every time, not every single time, but you know, I continue to write handwritten note cards. I send out the Royals magnets. I send out the Chiefs magnets and all the things, you know, I go to our HOA meetings. I just continue to do all the things I've always done. And just when I think, man, I shouldn't waste my money on that anymore. I should start something new. somebody pops their head up, and it's just like these people I was talking to Joanna about. I was at the grocery store Saturday morning, and a guy called me. He's like, hey, will you come and help me look at my house? Tell me what I need. We're getting ready to list. We're not sure. He's waiting on a job offer in Florida. And he's like, but we know we are moving. And I said, absolutely. And then the other thing I do is I always get there within 24 hours. I mean, I had family in town. My oldest daughter did a gender reveal on Saturday night, and I still had family in town, but I was there Sunday. He called me Saturday, and I was there Sunday at 11 o'clock. My family was still here. I'm like, you guys are just going to have to wait for me to get back. But it was in my neighborhood and stuff, so it was close. I just think we, sometimes we need to, there's all this fancy AI and there's all these fancy things. For me and my business and the way I like to run my business, it's all about the fundamentals, being there, returning people's calls, answering your phone, and just leading with the knowledge that we get from our office. I mean, it's invaluable. So.
Hey,
And
Chris,
when
I
I
think
drove
that
up,
was,
when I drove up, there was an open house going on right across the street. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so lucky that they didn't call this other realtor, because there was a sign in the yard. And so, but yeah, I mean, I just think it's about the fundamentals and keep doing what you're doing, that's what it is for me. And that does create a ripple effect for me.
Mhm.
I mean, I don't have the biggest business. I don't want the biggest business. I don't want to be on a team, all that stuff. But for me, it just keeps me going, and there's enough out there, and it just seems to keep, when I walked in, they had my Royals magnet on their fridge. I'm like, oh, and they're like, oh yeah, we get your magnets all the time. We appreciate it. So I know people don't think it matters, but it does. Sorry, Tim, I think you were going to say something.
oh no, I was just going to encourage you in that. Like that was one of my biggest takeaways and kind of one of the most repeating points that I noticed at family reunion this year. Like even coming from Gary, and like it's the fundamentals. I mean, the industry is always going to change, and there's always going to be a shiny new object and a shiny new player in the game. And whether it's AI or social media marketing, or like I remember not too long ago when Open Door showed up in Kansas City, it was like, oh, this is going to be a total game changer. Like we're going to have to really step it up. And like, I think it shined for like 1 minute, and then
Yeah.
it was like, it's always about the fundamentals. And um, no matter who was on stage at family reunion, they talked about a lot how face-to-face conversations, like getting in front of people. And one of the stats that continues to ring true is that it's like in the 80s, like 80 some percent of people, they meet with one agent. So whoever gets in front of the people, that's who they hire. And it doesn't matter about your AI or your social media or your direct mailer. It's about having conversations with people. And it may not be flashy, and it may not be glamorous, but I mean, Chris, you've always been really good about handwritten notes. I tell people all the time, like whenever I was just running the electrical business, like I was getting handwritten notes from Chris Bradley. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I remember getting Chris's stuff, and I always got, back then it was like an e-edge drip campaign, but
Yeah.
Chris always had like some sort of a newsletter or a monthly update or something going out. And like she was top of mind. And I have a lot of friends that were agents, but I think literally you and Chris Ward were the two that that stood out, by far. And you've always done that. So I think that's going to continue to return dividends for you. But yeah, Gary said it a lot. Like it doesn't really matter what the economy's doing around us. It's the fundamentals that make big businesses happen. And as they interview mega agents and big teams and stuff, they weren't doing anything magical. They didn't have any shiny bots or any, it was just like they literally did the same thing day in and day out. It was boring, but it yielded the results. So anyway, good job, Chris.
Well,
Thanks.
Gosh,
see
it's
what you
just
guys are
all
talking
about
about.
peopling.
Yeah,
it
I was
is-
going to say,
Go ahead, Brandy.
so sorry. Peopling, like you said, but it's relationships. It's how we show up in all the different parts of our life. It's about being human, being real, being authentic, showing up well for our people and for our co-op agents, for our clients, for our friends, family, all of the people. And, if you think about it, if I'm going to ever plan a big European vacation, I know I can get online and do it on Expedia, but I promise you, I would rather talk to a real person who's been there. I can ask my questions to. And so if we remember that this is a relational business, this is a people business, we're doing more than helping people take a vacation. We're helping them buy and sell big ticket items here. And, you know, they would much rather do it with us instead of a Redfin or an Open Door or, you know, some kind of chat bot. You know, so how we show up, be authentic, be real, it will do wonders. It is the basics. Yes.
No, I love that. I recently had another agent call me that we did a separate deal for earlier. And she reached out and she said, hey, I'm no longer licensed in your area. But because of how you handled the challenges of our last deal, I would like you to be the person I refer my people to. And that just goes back to, we handled it well. We did our business right. I represented my client, but I also represented myself well. And so how we handle situations can keep bringing business our way. And, you know, I think that somewhere in life, we have to realize that the quality it is to have a good name. And we want our names to be good in life and in business. It just keeps rippling. I think as somebody mentioned about doing the basics and the fundamentals. And I think as the end of March comes, and I'm already in shock that it's the end of March, I've had to go back and pull up my goals from January for the year and realize that there's a few places that I've already strayed from, like, here's how I'm doing business, here's how I'm getting it done. And so easily as things get busy, they kind of gotten maybe not on the forefront again. So I've challenged myself that I kind of go back to what were the fundamentals, what were the plans I had for myself for this year? How am I going to reach those goals, that they're back in front of my face again, that I didn't set them out in visual, but I had to clean it up for something and forgot to put it back in front of my face, whether it's physically or just mentally, but to bring back those goals, because, you know, I'm a failure on Google. I don't have my Google stuff going because they keep giving me a hard time on getting it done. And I just keep putting it off instead of just addressing and conquering the hurdle that needs to be done. Has anybody else had something that they also could pull back out and go, oh, this was my goal in the beginning of the year and I need to bring it back to the forefront? Am I the only one? Everybody else is killing it.
No, Tricia, you're the only brave one to admit it.
Oh, I
Yes.
get so disappointed at times where I'm like, Lonnie's just do the two, just even failed. So much for hitting everybody this week. Like, I just have to go, it's okay. I failed today, but I'm starting back tomorrow, because if I'm not willing to go, it's okay to have minor failures. I'll just act like it wasn't a failure. I didn't mean to put that on my list.
Well, oh, go ahead, Francesca.
Okay, sorry. I was thinking the same thing. Like I've been postponing, like even just doing handwritten things like Chris has told me to do before. I have a whole staff of people that I go volunteer at a school, and I keep postponing. I keep thinking, well, I'm going to design a nice note card, and I'm gonna do, you know, make a nice flyer, and then I just keep postponing it. I show up every Tuesday at this place that I could have been putting those things in their mailboxes. That's over 50 people right there, and just that little bit of me postponing just to, I don't know why I do that. I just yeah, that's about where I'm at right now.
Don't make it too complicated, Francesca.
Right, Chris. I think of you often. Like now, I'm thinking, okay, instead of designing the card,
Yep.
just go get some blank cards and just do it.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do that today.
Like Cass Gazette down here in Belton.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got blank KWR, blank KW, no cards.
Did
I
not
went
know
and bought
that.
100 of those when I first started. And when
Okay.
I don't have a card that's topical or whatever for the time being, I just write a blank note card, especially like if you're meeting these people every Tuesday and you're hanging out with them, just start dripping on them.
Okay, I didn't know Gazette had, the Gazette had
Yeah.
that. That's
Yep.
awesome. So
Maybe
see,
just take a baby step and choose to do, 5 this week instead of going, I need to write 50.
okay, good. That's a good thought.
Or
Okay.
make it even
Yeah.
easier and buy some pens with your information on. And at your event, just lay them where the people are or give them to them, talk to them, whatever. But that's
Right.
an easy thing.
See, and that again, it's that, just postponing and not
Yeah, then you
pulling
gotta
out my
order
goals
and
and
wait.
saying, right,
One
just,
time,
just do it.
one time you got to
Right.
I
order.
just go ahead and
wait.
get some blank note cards. And even if you have business cards, even if you go to a Hallmark and buy 25 or 20 spring looking cards and just put your business card in them and make sure that just knock it off your list. And once you do one thing, because I am an avid handwritten note card, and it takes me forever, but since the day I've started doing it, I set my end goal way out here when I want them all to be done, and then I work backwards. Some days I don't write any, some days I write 30, some days I write 5. It doesn't matter, but I know I've got until here to get everything out the door. I do the same thing with my magnets. I just set my end date and I work towards it and I don't miss it. I do not miss it. So just tell yourself you're going to write 5 and do it the next time. And then maybe somebody gets one and says, oh, she got a card. I didn't get one,
And see, again, I listened to you talk about handwritten notes and I've thought that idea for a long time. And then, AI comes out and I think, I'm going to do, but just as simple as what you just said makes so much sense. And so, I believe that would work. And what's really weird about this whole thing is I just addressed 300 postcards that my daughter made for her company, the Murphy's Tree Service. I just did that, send it out, and now, why aren't I using that for my own strategy? So, thank you, Chris.
You
You're
got
welcome.
this,
I just, I
Francesca.
started it when I got in this business and I've never stopped. I still talk to clients that I've had in year 1 and I do it that way. And then I'll follow up like when when I'm sitting at my house, because I don't go to the office very much anymore, but I'll just pick up the phone and start calling people. I'll say, hey, how's your spring? I do the 2s, but I don't do it systematically like Lonnie has it figured out. But I just, I'll pick up the phone and just randomly start calling people, and I know who I've called and I keep a list of that. And I don't do the whatever you call it, the D2, whatever that system is. I mean, I'm guilty of all that stuff, I'm guilty of everything, Tricia, you're talking about. But I do what I can do, what I'm willing to do, and it works for me. But I don't have the biggest business. If I did it like we should be doing it, like I should be doing it, I would have a much bigger business.
So Ryan Finn, are you still on here? Can you explain in your chat where you wrote, remember the 4 Ds, and tell me a little bit how you do that?
Yeah, that's a bold thing that we did. And it works really well for me because I think we all have we have like a million things to decide on every day, right?
Yes.
And so something comes to me, I got to look at it and I immediately have to figure out what I have to do with it. Do I have time to do it? Is it on my calendar for today? If it's not, can I delegate it to somebody else? And it doesn't have to be, if you're not on a team, don't worry about it. Use your kids, free labor, right? Whatever you got to do. Delegate it out. That's what I do. John's good at that. He built a business off of that child labor thing, I think. And then if you can't do that, delay it, right? Can you delay it? I don't know. I don't like delaying anything. I don't want to delay it. Because I think delaying it is just putting off the inevitable of something that's going to get done or it's going to get missed. So if it's super important, make sure you're delegating it. If it's something you would like to do, then maybe you can delay it, but get it back on your calendar as quick as possible. Because if you delay it to another time, but don't put it on your calendar, then just dump it. Then that's the last thing. Forget about it. I'm not doing that part. Screw it. I'm not going to make phone calls this week. Okay. Don't make phone calls this week, but make sure you got your list ready to go for the following week. Now I'm just going to pick it right back up. I don't have time this week. I have too many emergencies. We all have that going on. Okay, fine. This week is what it is. Give yourself some grace. Be ready. Prepare yourself for the following week so you can have success, and just pick it up and go from there.
I love that.
I love that too. You guys have got some really wonderful ideas. And something popped in my head with what Ryan just said. Now I discovered this back when I was in college, and I've used it off and on throughout my life, and it really works. Anytime you get off track, like it's real easy to feel down and just like, okay, I'm so far off my goals. I'm so far, I actually took a little note card and I drew like a reset button. And at night when I would go to bed and I'm just kind of plan through my day, and I'm maybe disappointed with myself. I didn't eat right. I didn't work out. I didn't do whatever. And I get really down and go, what the heck am I even doing? I thought, hit the reset button. Tomorrow's a new day. We're going to start fresh. It doesn't matter what happened today. I can't fix it, can't change it, can't go back and redo it. So let's just hit the reset button and start fresh tomorrow. And that really actually helps. Like I had to draw it. I had to see it. I even would touch it. And, just my little note card, and really, really helped me to get my mind right for the next day.
That's good. I know that on Tuesday, we gave out a few of these. One thing that Gary Keller says, what's the one thing I can do today for? And then we left a blank, such that by doing it, everything else will be easier or even unnecessary. And I think I've hung this like 5 places in my house, like including my refrigerator, so that I can process if I really want to open it right then. But being able to figure out that one thing that, and I think for me, the challenge when I first read the book was the one thing. I'm like, well, I have my one thing in business and my one thing with kids and my one thing with health. And I really was struggling on how to figure out how do you work this one thing when there's so many one things I'm supposed to be doing. And this quote is what's been so helpful for me, is I can fill in that blank knowing that I can apply this same principle to all areas of my life. So that's kind of what I think about when Ryan shares, is what's the one thing, and everything else I have to decide what bucket I'm putting it in. Labeling the bucket so I know where I put it is the other thing of knowing what bucket did I put it in, instead of just skipping it. Actually identifying this is where it's moving to. So I love that. I had never seen that with Bold. So thanks for sharing that.
Tricia, glad to. One other thing I would add, does anybody go by a calendar throughout their day? They schedule their day out on their calendar and they actually go back and review it throughout the day. Like, hey, this is what I'm doing next. This is what I'm doing next. I am guilty of putting 27 hours into 12 hours of work. Does anybody else do that? Yeah. That's something I'm currently working on. Yeah, Tim, you're bad about it as well because you show up late to golf. That's really irritating. No, I love you, brother. But what I mean, but we're pushing so hard because we're working for our families and building wealth, and this is what we want to do, right? I'm working now. One of the things I'm really working on is controlling my time and creating blocks where I don't have something necessarily going on. It's just like chaos time. Like, all the emails or stuff that people are calling you, but you can't take their call. That's the block of time where I have to where I can get those calls done. And I like to get that wrapped up by 3 p.m. That way that doesn't go into 5:30 or 6 p.m. in a day. And does it? It does sometimes. I'm not going to lie. But I try to wrap up the crazy by 3 p.m. Anything crazy after 3 p.m., let it happen tomorrow then. And as long as it's not a transaction falling apart or something that's an emergent with a client, there's no real estate emergencies apparently. But again, try to wrap up all that stuff as early as possible, but give yourself some time in the day where you're not stacking. I'm bad about stacking appointment after appointment after appointment. I'm going one place to the next, and it's just exhausting. And then you don't have any energy left at the end of the day to get some of these other ancillaries done. And then you end up delaying it. And sometimes I just dump it and I don't get things done. So that's what I recommend. Get the crazy done early, but schedule time for crazy.
That was a really good example, Ryan, of delaying it. That was like a real world example. Like, hey, if a call comes in at 6:30 at night and I'm out to dinner or golf league or billiards or life or kids or whatever, like I'm delaying that call back until tomorrow morning because nothing earth shattering is going to happen in the real estate world at 7 o'clock at night, unless I didn't do my job earlier. But most of the time you're set up and you can delay that. That's a great example of that.
I think something else I've learned from a lot of our agents, and I know just because I know Ryan plays pool or whatever, and the different things I think Tom O'Connor hits a lot about is that they merged their one things so that the thing that was fun one thing also became business one thing. And that was something that I aimed to do this year. And I took my heart for kids and families and youth in foster care, and I went ahead and joined the board of KCMO Angels. And it's been amazing because I've been able to merge my one things, my whys, and it keeps the passion about work even more exciting, knowing that I've committed that every transaction is going to be a financial contribution supporting kids in foster care. And that probably drives my why as much as my personal pay my bills why. And that's something I kind of grabbed from the feeling of enjoying real estate can be tied to things that my heart is tied to. So that's been really beneficial for me just this year of going, if I can blend my one things, I feel like I've merged my time, my energy, my passion, and I'm multitasking, which, you know, literally I don't think you can do, but I feel like I am. So that's been huge for me. Yeah. I love that. You guys have encouraged me to make really good choices this year so far.
Hey, Tricia, on that, Sandy's real good about this and she talks about it. Sandy says, don't be a secret agent, right? Wherever you go, people need to know who you are and what you're capable of. And are we a real estate agent? Are we a realtor, or do we own a real estate business? Well, I think we own a real estate business. We all do. And that sounds a lot different than I'm in real estate, or I sell real estate, or I'm just a realtor, or I'm a part-time realtor. Stop with all that nonsense. We all own a real estate company. All right. And so when we start doing that and having that conversation in these circles of where our passion is, it's amazing what happens. People are going to want to do business with you. They're like, oh my gosh, I love you for who you are. I appreciate all your time that you dedicate to this activity and this group of people that you're helping. And you do what during the day? Oh my gosh. Yeah, I absolutely want to work with you now. So that's the thing. So yeah, don't be a secret agent. And Tom O'Connor was really bad about that at first because he does so much for our community, but he was on the back burner of telling people what he was capable of. And I made fun of him a little bit and he took the ribbing, but the guy has stepped outside of that comfort zone. And I'm like, I'm getting out of his way right now. This guy's he's running 100 right now. And I love it because people are understanding what he's capable of. And he's been capable of it the whole time. You all are capable of it. But putting yourself out there to let people know that what you can do and what you're capable of helping them in whatever arena in real estate it is, man, people are they're gonna want to work with you even more because of those other arenas. So I love the multitasking.
Yeah, something that I'm doing is really, I think it's like getting back to the basics. I'm in my database, I'm categorizing them. I'm going by the agent kickstart. Why am I doing that? It's a proven way to do it. It's a proven way. The lady made, you know, all those sales just off her VIP people, and she dripped on the others. And so I'm going to be very intentional about making sure my database is sellable. And because I am getting older, I want a sellable, you know, business, and that's all you got. And so I'm going in and I'm, you know, separating them out into the categories that she said. So you guys ought to plug into that. And I mean, it's free to us. The office is paying for it. So, and I don't mind sorting through my database and talking to those people and setting up maybe a lunch with them. That's what I've been doing all week. So our database is it. That's it.
Anybody else?
Yeah. Hey, Tricia, great job today on your first mastermind. I think it's your first one you're doing, right?
Mhm.
Awesome. Awesome. Great content, great ideas. I just, I had one of those phone calls yesterday that just leaves a sick feeling in your stomach. Somebody that I know, they're closing on a house tomorrow. Guess who it's not with? It's not with me. And this is one of my tenants. So they know me. He's known me as a landlord for 7-8 years. And, he said, I didn't know you were a realtor. And that's completely on me. So I've just been landlord to them. That's all they know about. And so it helps me, in regards to all of this, following up with people that, to put a number on it. So that was a smaller commission. It probably would have been 5,000 or so, but it's still $5,000 that I don't have coming into my account next week because I didn't let him know. I didn't keep, I just didn't keep it at the front of my mind all the time when I was talking with him. But that's just another example of the financial cost of not doing these things that you guys are talking about.
Well, the great part is you can congratulate him on his new house, put his new address in your database, and make sure that doesn't happen again. And I'll guarantee you he'll use you next time.
Well,
It's happened
I-
every time to me. Mhm.
David, have Jake get you a shirt. He's got a bunch of them that says I sell real estate on it, man. Just anything that on wherever you go. At the very
Yeah.
least, that's what we got to do. Put something on, something tacky, but they got to know.
Yeah, Jake is the king of tacky. I saw him yesterday out on the town and he's wearing a 24/7 real estate thing on there. It was pretty funny. Yeah.
And you can borrow my pink one. Got a bright pink.
Nice.
Borrow.
Nice. Appreciate that, man.
Well, hey, here's another example that I ran into this week. I've been dripping on these one couple in my database. They were going to buy a house for their daughter in Independence. Her budget, they were going to pay cash, again, buy it for their disabled daughter, $125,000. So I haven't really kept in touch too well, but she opens the emails every single day to see what houses the MLS system has sent her. And so I finally decided to pick up the phone and I found out, I talked to the husband. Now they're older, they live in Raymore, but they're going to buy a house for their daughter. Okay. I called him and he said, well, I just wanted to let you know Barb's dad died back in November and she's having a hard time with it, but we'll get back at it looking for houses for my daughter here soon. Okay, cool. I'm so sorry for the passing, all that good stuff. And I finally said, did her dad live local? Yep. He owned a big house over there in Independence. I'm like, oh, really? And he said, yeah, that's what Barb's doing. She's dealing with all that. And I said, well, if you ever do need help or need anybody to pull some comps for you or anything I could do to help. He goes, really? You can help me with that? And I'm like, oh my goodness. I'm like, here I've been sending these people houses for 2 years. And they didn't know that I could help them possibly list her dad's house. So you can't assume people know what we do. They can't, they probably thought, well, she just helps us buy houses, little ones. I don't know what people know, but I'm sure y'all have had that, that people have that little light bulb moment, go, oh, I didn't know you could do that. I'm like, yes, this is what I do for a living. So like Ryan said, or Sandy said, or whoever said, don't be a secret agent. Don't be afraid to throw yourself out there, because don't assume people know what we do and how we do it.
That's right. That's a great example, Brandy. I've had similar experiences to that. I had this literally the same thing happen that David had, except for it was my cousin, and it was like $18,000 in commission. And she, that was whenever I was doing productivity coaching, and I was like, Allie, what are you doing? Like, I'm an agent. And she was like, oh, I thought you were like a coach or something. Well, but that was my fault, right? Because I was a secret agent. They didn't know, my own cousin. And so lesson learned there, David. But what Brandy was sharing, like, John, I think you posted earlier on, like, our people want to hear from us. Like, when you're not being an asshole and always asking for something, you know, when you're coming from contribution and you're giving something, like, people want to hear from you. And especially if you're calling and you're doing a care call and you're checking in on them, or you're seeing what they're doing on social media. And so, you know, like, you're following up and you're commenting on life and how's the kids, and oh my gosh, that trip looked incredible. Where'd you stay? Tell me about the resort. Would you recommend it? Like, they want that. And those are the opportunities for us to do that, to come from contribution, to offer help, because like, we think that everybody and their brother knows a real estate agent, because 90% of the people that I'm friends with on social media, they're all agents. Like, it's like everybody and their brother's an agent. Well, that's just not the case. There's less than 12,000 agents in the Kansas City area. Like, we're a super duper small percentage. So there's a lot of people that they don't have an agent in their family. They're literally just calling the number on the sign. So I guess what Brandy was saying is, like, we need to offer our services. Like, we need to let them know what we can do for them and how we can serve them and how we can help them. There's plenty of people that they would never want to ask. They wouldn't even cross their mind to ask for that, you know, like, oh, I'm going to have to sell a house. I'm going to have to figure this out. Meanwhile, us as agents, we do it all day, every day, and it's not a problem at all. And even if they don't buy a house from us, or they don't end up selling it, or they end up keeping it, that's also our job, right? As real estate advisors, like, hey, I think it's in your best interest to stay here a little while. We don't really have enough cash on hand yet, and I don't want you to be house poor. So let's regroup on this. I'll keep feeding you properties. I mean, we may not be able to help them right now, but we're helping them in the long term when we offer those things, and then they become great referral people for us. And yeah, so we have to get in front of them. We have to let them know what we do, for sure.
I mean, I would add to that, and I will openly admit this, when I went to real estate school, and by the time I went to real estate school, which is just 9 years ago, I was already a homeowner of 2 homes. I was deep in, you know, I thought I knew what was going on in the world. When I went to real estate school and sat there, I had to sit there and think for a minute, because I did not realize there were 2 sides to a transaction. Now, I'm a KU grad, highly educated, worked in corporate America, the whole deal, and I did not realize that there was a listing agent and a buyer's agent. And so one of the things that I make sure when I go on a listing appointment and when I talk to anybody, I sit down and I basically say, hey, I don't want to offend you, but can we start with how this basically fundamentally works? And I talk about there's going to be a listing agent. Hopefully that's me. And there's going to be a buyer's agent, and the buyer's agent is going to be the people that come and show your house. I'm going to be, you know, working for you guys on this end, because I don't think most people even realize that when they get into this. They do the transaction, they do what their realtor says, and off they go. I am one of them. I did not know that.
And that's
I
part
said in
of the
our
value of being people. That
yeah, and when I said in my first classes, I had to sit there and think, what are they talking about? Because I was just thinking there was a one realtor involved in the transaction. I don't know who they represented or what they did, but that is all the stuff that I learned once I was in real estate school. But before that, I didn't even know that. I just knew that I had worked with a realtor.
A situation yesterday. I had a doctor that's moving here contact me from somebody that I knew in Joplin, sent him to me. He reached out, and I'm so glad how many times we've talked about taking ownership of what we do, knowing our value, because he challenged me. He's like, I'm going to interview all these agents, and are you willing not to, you know, I don't want to pay 3%. And I'm like, well, I also have a $400 admin fee. Like, and he's like, well, will you negotiate on that? And my response to him, and I felt so brave, but I kind of told him, I said, hey, when I come to your doctor's office, I'm not going to ask the lady at the front desk to waive your admin fee. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to ask if you will do my surgery for less. And furthermore, if you would, I'm wondering if you're the right one for me. Mm-hmm. Because if you're just looking for the cheapest, I'm probably not going to be it, because I'm going to hold my value of what I do, just like you should for what you do. Right. And I was like, I would love to represent you. I'd love to help you find a property, but I'm 3% with a $400 admin fee. And I said, if you have any questions, let me know. And where do we go from here? I didn't think I'd hear back. And he wrote back, that makes sense. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it worked. It makes sense. And it made sense to him, who was probably much more educated and intelligent than I am, but it made sense to him of, I'm not going to challenge you on your fees. Don't challenge me on mine.
Yeah.
Good job. Good job,
I know,
Tricia.
I was so proud of myself. My husband
Good
gave
girl.
me a high because I just ended the sentence with, where do we go from here? And it was dead silent. And I said nothing. I just waited until he said, when I get home from work tonight, I will relook at your buyer's agency agreement. And I haven't looked to see if he's signed it or not. We'll see.
Good for you.
Thank you. Anybody else have a thumbs up before we get off? Because it's always great to start and end on something really good, you know. Who's got something great? A listing they want us to know about for the weekend. Anybody? I do.
Don't leave
Joanna
Tricia
does.
hanging, everybody.
I know I've got one coming on tomorrow in Raymore, so bring me a buyer. Joanna's got one going on tomorrow. Anybody else have something active this weekend?
No, but you're looking at my coming soon. Am I on here?
Yes, you are. I see you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Are you still coming to that? Am I
Yeah.
coming soon?
Let's just have a quick chat on what that looks like.
Will do.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Hey,
There's
I've got
such
those
an
two that I
advantage with
mentioned at team
networking
meeting,
with our
Tricia.
people.
That ranch in Blue Springs. It's under 200,000. It's a 3-bed, 1.5 bath ranch, single car garage off of 4th Street. That goes live. Actually, it's probably live right now. If not, it's gonna be here today. But that'll have an open house on Saturday this weekend. And then the one up in Excelsior Springs, which may be a little far for most of your buyers. But if you know of
No.
somebody looking up north, that's on 10 acres. It's like a 5 or 6 year old 2-bed, 2-bath, but it has a third non-conforming downstairs. That's the one I mentioned. That's kind of like a homesteader situation. They've got a chicken coop and a greenhouse and a work shed. And then there's another one
How
out in
much was that?
Olathe. That one, the one up north is 450.
Okay.
450. And it's
I
on
feel like that's
blacktop.
really good.
Yeah, I think it is too. I think that's a really good price for it. I think it's a motivated price. So it's in Excelsior, so that's a little ways, that's a little ways out, but on 10 acres and it's fully functioning hose. We were there for pictures and the chickens are just out running around and doing their thing. And I mean, it's legit, it's ready to go. And then there's a 4-bed, 3-bath on Lenox Avenue in Olathe. And that one is 425, and that's a split entry. So I think that's funny that Joanna started the call on a split entry. But that one's in Olathe. It's in a nice cul-de-sac. So, and that one's freshly updated. So
Jim, I love how you're broadening, like going out beyond our boundaries that we normally work within.
oh, it's broad, all right.
Yeah, but good for you because that's how you meet new people. My listing in Stillwell, Overland Park right there, it's a new place for me. Having open houses, I've gained 2 new clients that are shopping in Johnson County. Yay me. I mean, yeah, it's good. Well done. Okay, team, I think we've had a great day. We're doing it. Circle back around to the goals that you set for yourself. Have grace when you miss a day. Pick it up the next day. Those are the things that we've learned today. Awesome. Let's sell houses. Bye, guys.
Bye. Thank you.